Dr. Joseph Martin here again. I'm very pleased and excited and happy to share this new video with you, which is on Paramahansa Yogananda, the bright spiritual warrior and great spiritual teacher and leader and visionary for all time, in fact. And so there will be further discussions about Yogananda and his vision for our contemporary humanity to get us out of our crises. And this is also one in a series of great spiritual masters of all time. I'm happy to introduce Yogananda. He is a very close and dear friend of mine, someone I co-author books with and do workshops with here in Canada and worldwide. Yogananda was born again in 1893 and lived in India for the earliest part of his life, was trained and studied with his parents' guru, Lahiri Mahasaya, and then also with his own personal guru, Sri Yukteswar, who wrote the book, The Holy Science. And Yogananda, as a child, his name was Mejda. This is a book, it's a biography of Mejda by his brother. You may be interested in looking for this online. And also, he became a devotee of his root guru, Mahavatar Babaji Nagaraj, who is known as Krishna incarnate in the Bhagavad Gita stories and also throughout India and the world now. And Babaji is also known as an incarnation of Shiva, Shakti. The greatest book that Yogananda wrote, although he wrote dozens and scores of great books, is the one that's best known, that is Autobiography of a Yogi. This is a contemporary version of it with his lovely photo on it. It's very captivating, kind of a photograph, and you can see the blessedness of his divine human nature, his peacemaker, spiritual warrior nature, and his absolute harmonious balance of his inner masculine and feminine energies. In some subsequent videos, I will be discussing the past lives of Yogananda, which he did tell to us when he was here, and others that he's shared with me since he's passed over into the spirit world. What is unique about Yogananda is he's a great spiritual warrior teacher. Incomparable mind, great logic, and an infathomable great spiritual heart of kindness. What he has brought to the Western world in the 21st century and will perdure and last well beyond 5,000 years from now, when his books will still be read and his teachings will still be followed, is his enjoyment of bringing the spirituality of science, including physics and biology and botany and psychology, with the great spiritual science of spirituality, spiritual truths, higher dimensions, and the great immortal truths of the Hindu tradition, particularly Advaita Vedanta and Kundalini Kriya Yoga. He's also brought us the spiritual science of how a person can attain God knowledge and God realization, thereby uniting with God and finding self-realization. He's also given us the daily methods and techniques for spiritual, personal, psychological evolution, which when you follow them, whether they're his energization techniques or any of his daily devotional techniques of God realization, you too will find great peace, joy, happiness, and the path to cosmic consciousness, as well as Krishna consciousness. Yogananda also came to liberate humans for all time from suffering, just as the Buddha did and just as Jesus did, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, bless his holy name. In a time, when isn't there a time when there's great human suffering on the planet, individually and collectively, Yogananda has given us the hope and the steps out of the morass of immorality and deceit and depression and loneliness to follow our innermost heart and take those steps of devotional acquisition and daily practice to take us back to the innermost knowledge and source of our own heart and our own greatest divinity. There are many great things we can say about Yogananda. You can still hear his voice and see videos online if you choose to have a look. There are many of his great devotees on the planet today, and there are several lineages of Yogananda. All are to be blessed and all are to be accepted, for each person who knows Yogananda can bring a unique aspect of the diamond heart that is Yogananda's supreme cosmic consciousness. As I mentioned, he's written many, many books, all of which I've read many times, including the Autobiography, which is perhaps my most famously favorite book of all time in terms of spiritual reality and spiritual truth. It's a great scientific and historical piece of work with a lot of interesting people that he's met, including Gandhi and presidents and prime ministers. I'd like to share with you some of his other books, though, that perhaps you do not know yet, and I would highly recommend that you read them all. Here's one. It's the last one he did in 2 volumes, The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within You. It's a book that I read daily, as you can see, and I highly recommend it for yourselves. Here's another one, Man's Eternal Quest by Yogananda, collected talks and essays about realizing God consciousness in your daily life. And another one, Journey to Self-Realization, beautiful picture of Yogananda as a young man. And actually a supreme one for those of you who want some of the greatest spiritual scientific truths of all time, a cultural piece that is now worldwide, the Bhagavad Gita. This is Yogananda's own translation from the Sanskrit into English with his own up-to-date psychological scientific commentary on the meaning, the higher meaning of the Bhagavad Gita for your personal life and transition to a higher evolutionary consciousness. Yogananda's wish and goal and inspiration to all of us is that each one of us takes seriously while we're here in the physical body to deal with our karmas and our evolution and to find the pathway and take the steps in a practical way every day to increase the expansiveness of our mind, heart, will, and emotions, and our inner empathy and our compassion and love, to expand our consciousness and evolve as quickly as we can back into God consciousness and self-realization, self-actualization. And this is the goal for Yogananda, why he came, what he did, what he brought us, the steps he gave us to do this. And I must say, his books and his life will go down in history for tens of thousands of years from now as one of the greatest individuals who's come to bless us, share his love, share his light with us, and his supreme wisdom and knowledge, and his joy and his love and his intense humanity. Until next time, we'll say Om Namah Shivaya to you. All blessings from Yogananda. I trust that you will experience Yogananda in your own personal heart wisdom, and that for many years to come, like I have, you will find a blessed friend in Paramahansa Yogananda. All love, all light.